up, y'all? It's your boy MMA Mechanic, and yes, I am happy. What a pay-per-view, UFC 319. We're gonna do a full recap video. We're gonna talk all things 319. I was 7-3 tonight on picks, so I got 7 right, 3 wrong. That's 3 weeks in a row now. We've been at least 70%. Your boy's been cooking, man. Your boy's been cooking. And guys, look, we are going to start with the main event tonight, and we're going to go all the way down through the prelims. Just complete domination by Khamzat Chimaev, man. Who beats this guy? I mean, really, who is going to beat this guy? I believe Kai Asakura will give him the toughest test. That's just my belief. But even that, man, because Kai Asakura's grappling is just much better than DDP's. And look, I did a full in-depth breakdown of DDP versus Chimaev a couple weeks ago. And I asked these questions. I said, where is DDP better? Where is this narrative that Chimaev's cardio just falls completely off a cliff? I went back, I watched fights, and I'm like, I'm not seeing what everybody else was seeing. I just wasn't understanding it, right? And everything that I said would happen literally happened. So I urge you, go back and check out the video. It's in the descriptions if you want to check it out, right? But like I said, from start to finish, this was complete domination. Complete domination. Within the first 30 seconds, DDP was down. Within the first 30 seconds. That was the narrative basically for every single round of the fight. 21 minutes of ground control time. 21 minutes. That is crazy. This was one of the most dominant performances that I've ever seen. Not just in a championship, I mean, just ever. This might have been the most dominant performance I've ever seen. I mean, the judges all gave it a 50-44. I honestly scored it a 50-43, but I can see a 50-41. The fourth round, I think, and we'll discuss the rounds, but the fourth round, I think, was the only round where it was a 10-9 and like where you can't make an argument for a 10-8. Every other round, you can make an argument for 10-8, in my opinion. An argument, not saying it's a guarantee. That's why I give it a 50-43. The judges all give it a 50-44. Every single judge. So the first round was a 10-8, right? So upon in the first round, Chimaev gets a takedown into half guard, and he just has heavy pressure on top of DDP. Heavy pressure. DDP is just a fish out of water. This is one of the things that I talked about. I said, I don't see what DDP is going to be able to do on the ground. I talked about his wrestling defense versus Derek Brunson. You know, him getting controlled by Robert Whittaker. We talked about these things, and I said, I just don't see where there's no evidence to show me that DDP could have improved his grappling defense, his wrestling defense that much, his anti-grappling defense that much to be able to withstand Khamzat Chimaev, who's literally, let's be honest, man, he's better than Khabib. He's a better wrestler than Khabib, more dominant. One of the most unstoppable forces we've ever seen. This guy is 15-0. Has literally, think about this for a second. He has literally ran through everyone. It's not just DDP. He did the same thing to Robert Whittaker. Kamaru Usman, he wasn't as dominant, but still got a 10-8 in the first round. I mean, it's literally beyond belief how dominant this guy is. It's pretty crazy, man. He is something else, and I highlighted this, guys. I'm telling you, I called this. I said it was going to happen. Everybody else was, plot armor, plot armor. Like, give me a logical answer. Think about that for a second. Nobody. You ask anybody, what logical reason do you have for picking DDP? Besides, the only thing they had to say that made any sense was him gassing. But even that didn't make sense when you go back and watch Chimaev's fights. He's not gassing like you're saying he is. He came into this fight, right? He came into this fight camp, right? Brought in experts in cardio to help him train and prepare him for this fight. And you saw his gas tank held up. His gas tank held up. Very, very dominant position, right? So the first round was where the judges every judge gave Chimaev a 10 on the first round. Every judge. So, you know, like I said, he got the DDP down within 30 seconds. He had DDP in a crucifix. He was landing short elbows, annoying little short punches. Nothing crazy on the ground and pound, but just heavy top pressure. The transitions from half guard into into side control and just staying heavy on top of him, getting him into crucifixes. Complete and utter domination. Called it, man. So in round 2, DDP, he's circling early, right? Every fight starts back on the feet. He's circling early. He's throwing a couple of jabs, and Chimaev times with the jams, ducks under, and gets him down to the octagon. Takes him down. Slips one of the punches, grabs him, takes him down. Chimaev is just seamless transitions, If the double leg doesn't work, we're gonna push him up on the fence and we're gonna ride him. Right to body lock. The body lock was just so incredibly strong. When he had his hands wrapped around DDP's waist, he wasn't going anywhere. He wasn't going anywhere. Absolutely nothing he could do. He was threatening I think he threatened a head and arm choke in the second round. Head and arm choke in the second round, yeah. But it was again, the second round was another just complete dominant round. DDP had nothing for him, man. But it's crazy because I'm not gonna lie to you. At this point in the second round, when I'm like, okay, crap, Chimaev hasn't finished him yet, I was getting a little worried. I was like, man, Chimaev might gas. He's expending a lot of energy. What if the narratives are true? And I was a little worried, not gonna lie. But then he comes out in the third, and DDP has a little bit more success. He opens with a body kick. He landed a right hand. I think it was a pretty clean one too. Yeah, but I think that's the round where Chimaev just gets him against the cage, and he starts slamming knees into his thigh, and gets him down to the ground again. Right? Gets him into another crucifix position. He's getting slicing elbows. Just controlling, staying heavy on top. DDP was trying to bicycle swing his hips out, but it just nothing was working. Chimaev was on a mission tonight, man. Like he knew what he was gonna do. He had a game plan, and he even brought in wrestling, Olympic wrestling coaches. Can't remember the gentleman's name, but brought in Olympic level wrestling coaches, and it showed. DDP was able to get back up to his feet, I think, in the third, and he landed a jab. So again, Chimaev just had majority of the control time in the third. Again, had him in a crucifix. DDP was able to get up and make it a little bit interesting, but it was, by the time he got up, it was like I think 10 seconds left in the round. Nothing he can do at that point. The fourth round now was the most interesting round for DDP because this is the round where he sprawls. He does sprawl Chimaev's shot, first takedown attempt, and he still got taken down, but he landed an uppercut before it happened. Almost had like a guillotine attempt. I think he had a guillotine attempt in the fourth round. So he made it interesting in the fourth, right? He made it interesting in the fourth, but it just didn't matter, man. It just didn't matter. And listen, here's the crazy thing. The fifth round comes and Chimaev still doesn't even look tired. Still doesn't even look tired. Takes him down, flattens him out. Complete and utter domination. And so the thing about Chimaev that we got to talk about is, who possibly can challenge this guy. I mean, he's literally beating everyone, every challenge that's been in front of him. He's handled it. He's had a few, tough ones here and there, but nothing to where we were ever really worried. I mean, he just never had a fight to where we said, okay, well, there's a chance he lost, or where we were worried that he was going to lose. It just never happened. Sorry. This never happened, man. And it's pretty impressive. And so, the middleweight division is looking pretty good. A lot of things have happened. New champions born. Anthony Hernandez is doing his thing. The Raiders entering the scene. So there are some exciting things happening. But Chimaev, I don't know which one of these guys beats Chimaev. I mean, Nasruddin Imavov versus Kai is in a couple weeks. Like I said, I personally, I'll do a breakdown for this, but I personally think that Kai is the best challenge for him. I just think that Kai is also a monster on the ground. I know Anthony Hernandez is good. I know he's good. But I can't see a world where he takes Chimaev down, not with this kind of cardio. Now that Chimaev has proven his cardio, it's going to have to be someone that can just kind of anti-grab. And I think Barajo, with how big and strong he is and his positioning ability, I think that Barajo could give him a little bit of a test. We'll see how he does versus Nasruddin Imavov. That's going to tell us a lot. That's going to tell us a lot if he's ready. I personally think Barajo needs a finish in that fight. He needs a finish in that fight. I mean, exciting things are happening. I mean, MVP looked good tonight, man. MVP looked very, very good tonight. So it's one of those things where we have to start getting really excited about middleweight. Really excited. Middleweight hasn't been this good. I mean, MVP's now in the picture. And we'll talk about him in a minute. But this, again, I'll give a shout out to DDP. I am shocked. The level of determination, he still was trying. The whole fight he was trying, did not quit, did not give up. He just had nothing for Chimaev the entire night, man. Nothing at all. So, again, props to him for not giving up until literally the last second. The man was trying. Literally until the last second. He was still trying. But, Chimaev just proves too dominant. Very excited to see his run. I think he probably will go down as the best middleweight to ever do it. DDP is in that picture too now. DDP had a nice run. He beat two former champions. He beat Strickland twice. Beat Adesanya. He had a very, very nice run to the belt. Beat Whitaker. You know what I'm saying? He's had a good. He has good wins behind him. Good legacy. And I'm sure we'll see more of DDP. He's only 31. The guy's young, man. So, yeah, very, very exciting stuff at middleweight. But yes, let's go on to Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. This fight was, listen, at first, I'm not going to lie, Aaron Pico looked good, but where's this all-world boxing? Why are your hands down at your waist and you're running towards a Lerone Murphy? He lands a spinning back elbow, knocks you out cold. Brutally knocks him out with that spinning back elbow. Where's this boxing defense, He was aggressive early, putting the pressure on Lerone Murphy, getting takedowns. Lerone was getting right back up. And we just saw what what I said was going to happen. Aaron Pico has, I don't know any of the people that he's fought in Bellator. They were not UFC caliber. And we saw that tonight. Great win for Lerone Murphy. I know he wants a title shot next versus Volk. That's an interesting division too, because we have Gene Silva and Diego Lopez. If Gene Silva gets an impressive win, we could see something happen there too. Masvidal Evloev is still in the picture, right? So things are getting interesting in that division as well. The UFC is in a good place right now. I will say that. I think the UFC is in a good place as far as like contenders are concerned, and dangerous contenders that are we're looking at like, okay, can this guy? I mean, Joshua Van versus Joshua Van is a dangerous competitor. And he's fighting for the belt next versus Alessandro Pantoja. I think Pantoja will win, but again, that's a dangerous opponent there. So I mean, I think overall. Aspinall, you got Jones back in the testing pool. Pereira and Ankalaev too, coming soon. Welterweight with the Islam Makhachev versus JDM. Then you got Shavkat lurking in the background. Then you got Ian Gary lurking. Marlon Morales. I'm telling you now. We'll get to him eventually. Michael Morales, man, that boy is a problem. He is a problem, man. All right, so we'll go down to Geoff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Geoff Neal versus Carlos Prates. This was another knockout, and I got this one right. I said Carlos Prates would get the knockout. I thought it was going to be in the second round, but it was in the first. Listen, props to Prates, man. Looked fast. I criticized his speed in my last video. He might have watched my video. Looked very fast, light on his feet. Was hopping around the octagon. Looked very, very fast. Always had the power. We know that's no secret. He had the power. That's not a secret. Nobody was questioning that. I've just seen him in a couple, especially specifically versus Ian Gary. He didn't look to be very fast in that fight, so I criticized him. He came out here, danced around the octagon. Another spinning back elbow KO. Puts Geoff Neal down. Geoff Neal had some interesting moments. He was quick, he was fast, he was landing. Both guys were landing to the body. The Prates was hitting him with nice knees. Nice 1-2s down the middle. Neal was eating them with his brick head. That's why I picked him the second round KO, because I wasn't sure that, or I might have picked the third round. I think it was the third round, but either way, he got the KO victory. So for the main card, we were 3-0 so far, and then we are going to go on to the next one: Jared Cannonier versus MVP. Now, this fight we got right as well. Now, man, I've been saying this I've been watching MVP, man, since the day I saw him fight Kevin Holland. You heard in my prediction video, Kevin Holland looked lost. He had no idea what to do on the feet with MVP. Nobody does. Shar Bullet didn't know what to do. Ian Gary didn't know what to do. Nobody can stand with the MVP. I will go on record in saying this right now. I really, really want to see him fight Izzy. I know they're cool and they don't want to fight each other, but I really, really want to see him fight Izzy. That is what I want to see, because I want to see him tested on the feet. No, Jared Cannonier looked like a deer in headlights. He was literally whiffing at air. MVP was hitting him so fast, the shock value had him just stuck, and MVP would just shove him to the ground. Shove him to the ground. The first round, MVP's just dancing around the octagon, landing body shots, landing overhands. For the first 2 rounds, it's much of the same. Jared Cannonier just couldn't get to him, couldn't touch him. He had him in a few clinch positions, and this was the scary part. MVP was defending takedowns. MVP looked big, man. Big for that division, for middleweight. He's huge. He's enormous. Pause. He looked really big, man. Very, very impressed with how he looked tonight. This was his most impressive. I mean, he styled on Kevin Holland, styled on Charles Bullet, and even on the feet styled on Ian Gary, but he looked very, very impressive in this fight. Strong, big, powerful. I think he's better at middleweight, to be honest. I don't think that he's going to be able to climb up the rankings too high, just because, I mean, if he could stuff takedowns, I just don't think he's going to be able to. Eventually, the guys will get him down, and, you know, I could see guys like Anthony Hernandez, I could see just ragdoll him. Rainer de Ridder, I could see, maybe not Rainer. Rainer's kind of slow. Listen, it's just interesting now with MVP getting this win over Jared Cannonier. Jared's good, man. So for him to get this type of win is impressive. It's very, very impressive. We are going to go down to now Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. Now, we did get this one wrong. Here's the thing, though. In the first round, Kai Asakura was quick, confident. He was fast. He was hitting Tim Elliott with shots, combinations, like 5-piece combinations. He was landing very, very good shots on Tim Elliott. The second round comes, he can't find Tim Elliott at all. He can't touch him. Tim Elliott, that weird style, he's like leaning all over the place, doing all these weird actions, these weird movements. Kai Asakura had no idea, what to do in the second round. He gets submitted in the second round, and he just didn't fight the hands. I think it was a rear naked choke. I believe it was hold on. It was, I believe it was a rear naked choke. Yeah, I think it was a rear naked choke. Or was it a guillotine? It was a guillotine. Yeah. Got him in a guillotine, chokes him out cold. For me, it's interesting. Now, Kai Asakura is now 0-2 in the UFC. These guys he came from Risen, and then just the guys that come from other promotions, they're just not, Aaron Pico tonight gets knocked out badly. Kai Asakura gets strangled out cold. Well, not out cold, but he got strangled. I mean, it's just the guys coming over from other the promotions, man. Other than Rainer de Ridder, but he was a double champ. He was an anomaly. MVP is also coming over too and is doing well. But a lot of these guys that are coming over, Pitbull, a lot of these guys that are coming over, they're not performing. Patchy Mix, coming over and losing in their first, and they're getting high-ranking opponents. So maybe that's something that the UFC will start to look at. In this next fight, we're going to talk about Baisangur Susurkaev versus Eric Nolan. First round, Eric Nolan was landing, man. I thought Eric Nolan won the first round. He was landing good shots, good uppercuts, good body shots. And Baisangur was just kind of like clowning, emoting, just kind of, had hands down, laughing, joking around. He in the second round, he finally kind of looked like he got serious, takes him down, beats him up a little bit on the ground, landing really nasty ground and pound, flattens him out for a moment, landing really nasty ground and pound, finishes him with a rear naked choke. Very dominant. He was the biggest favorite on the card. I think it was like minus 1,030 or something like that. I thought those were crazy odds because I don't know. Eric Nolan is pretty good. I believe he won the first round. But once Baisangur kind of just said, okay, enough's enough, he took him down, strangled him, rear naked choke. This is a very, 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 very strong performance by Baisangur. Excited to see what's next for him. Maybe we'll do what's next video on this card. I think this is definitely a card for it, for sure. We'll do it on the pay-per-views moving forward. Gerald Meerschaert versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. We got this in right. Oh, by the way, the Baisangur versus Eric Nolan fight, that fight got added before my prediction video, so I didn't give a prediction on that one. But that's probably who I would have predicted. Baisangur. He just kind of had his way once he decided to take it serious. The MVP versus Jared Cannonier fight, I did pick MVP to win the fight. So, yeah. As far as Gerald Meerschaert versus Michal Oleksiejczuk, I picked Michal Oleksiejczuk by first round KO, and Michal Oleksiejczuk won by first round KO. Gerald Meerschaert just didn't have anything from on the feet. You know, I don't even think he was able to. I don't even think he was able to attempt a takedown. You know, so Michal drops him with that same left hand. If you go back and watch my prediction video, I'll put that in the description. He drops him with that same left hand that I said he would. Yeah, Michal looked good. Michal has like 5 or 6 first round KOs, man. The guy, he has some decent boxing. You know, Gerald Meerschaert had the reach advantage, didn't matter. You know, Michal Oleksiejczuk was the predator, the hunter tonight. You know, he was hunting tonight, and he got that knockout. So we'll go to Jessica. But so I got that one right. Michal Oleksiejczuk by first round KO. I said that would happen. That's exactly what that happened. Jessica Andrade versus Loopy Godinez. This fight was, I mean, it got interesting late. You know, Jessica Andrade, like I said, she just marches forward and she just throws these wild hooks. In the first 2 rounds, Loopy was tagging her 1-2s up the middle, stepping elbows, knees. I think she either took it down in the second or first round, but Loopy was just piecing her up in the first 2 rounds with the 1-2s down the middle. Second round got kind of interesting. I think the third round, Jessica Andrade was busting Loopy's face up badly. I mean, I thought she was going to finish her. I was very worried for my pick. But Loopy was able to weather the storm. She won the first 2 rounds pretty easily, and she came out with a decision victory here. All right, next fight we'll go to Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. Chase Hooper is just, you know, he loses this fight by first round KO, by the way. You know, his hands are down by his waist. Hernandez drops him with a hard right straight. My thing is this. You're taller. You don't have a reach advantage, but you're taller. Hernandez has some very long arms. But Chase, you're taller. Use your teeps. Keep him at range. At some point, there's going to be a scramble. The fight's going to get to the ground. You'll have, that's where you're comfortable. You want to go in and try and box with this guy, have striking exchanges with this guy. I called it. I said in my prediction video that Hernandez had better boxing. And what does he come out and do? He shows better boxing. So I just think that Chase Hooper just didn't have a good game plan. He wasn't smart about how he approached his fight. And he got finished for it, you know? And I think that Chase Hooper, you know, yeah, I can't see him even making it to the top 15. I mean, maybe. You know, he's still very young. I think he's like 26. But, you know, it's clear that he still has a lot of developing that he needs done. I mean, he had a standout performance versus Clay Guida, but, you know, the win versus Jim Miller was a mediocre. And I said that I should have used that more as a litmus test for this fight, but I didn't. So, yeah. But we missed that one, guys. I did pick Chase Hooper to win by submission, and he ends up losing the fight by knockout. But all good, you know. Again, like I said, we were 7-3 on this card with picks, and yeah, it happens sometimes. We also got this next fight wrong: Edson Barbosa versus Dricus. So the first round, Edson looks fast. He's tagging him up. This was a great fight, by the way. This was a good fight. Even though Edson just fell off a cliff in the second round, and it looked like he was just labored, right? Dricus pushes the pace, starts getting grappling. I think gets a takedown or 2, starts making it dirty, making the fight dirty, landing some inside boxing, dirty boxing shots, you know, knees. making elbows, stepping elbows. He was just making the fight real gritty and grimy. So Edson Barbosa won the first round. Gerald close started taking over towards the end of the fight, and he was able to win this one on a decision. I did have Edson by TKO, but we don't always get it all right, guys. Karine Silva versus Dione Barbosa. This was the second fight on the card. I did pick Karine Silva to win. I thought she was going to win by submission. She ended up winning by decision. The first round, Dione looked good, man. She's taller, ranger. She looked quick, fast. She was outstriking Karine. She even picked Karine up and threw her to the ground. Caught her in a couple judo throws, hip throws. I mean, she was just looking real good in that first round. But Karine in the second and third started to get in, take her down. Now this is interesting, right? This fight was very interesting because even though the fight got to the ground, Karine oftentimes would end up in the worst position on bottom. But Karine was busier. She was throwing elbows off her back. She was throwing punches off her back. She was just busier. Dione Barbosa, I don't even know if she threw a punch in dominant position. So it's like, if you have dominant position like that, you have to utilize that. You have to utilize some ground and pound. You have to get some damage off. She didn't get any damage off. Karine hit her with more damaging shots, the more significant shots, even though they were from the bottom position. Karine walks off with a decision victory, as we predicted. Well, we predicted that she would win, but she didn't get the submission, but that's okay. The first fight of the night was Joseph Morales. This was a Contender Series Ultimate Fighter finale to decide the winner, and Joseph Morales is Alibi Idris, and Joseph Morales just looked dominant, man. He just looked very, very good from the beginning of the fight. He was pushing the pace. He was landing his elbows on clinch breaks. He was getting takedowns. He was pressuring Alibi. You know what I'm saying? He was advancing on the ground from mount, and he took the back. He was threatening Kimuras. I mean, it was a pretty dominant performance by Morales. Glad he won. Glad he's the Ultimate Fighter winner. He finishes the fight by rear naked choke. We didn't do a prediction for this one because this fight was added to the card after Brian Battle versus Nursultan Nazarbayev was removed because Brian Battle missed weight. So, guys, all in all, pretty fun card. There's quite a few finishes. And just the main card was pretty fireworks. Chimaev, even though he didn't really finish DDP, it was a very, very dominant victory for Chimaev. Could have been a 50-43, could have been a 50-42. None of those scorecards would have been wrong. Could have been 50-41. It could have been. He could have had a 10-8 in 4 rounds. This looked very good. MVP looked very good. A lot of these guys on this card really showed out. Banger card, but it's your boy, the MMA Mechanic. Like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the bell icon. Until next time.